All right. We're going to take that and we're going to push it a little bit further and see where we end up.
Okay.
So as you find yourself here in this void, for lack of a better term, there is a moment when you wonder how long you're going to be here. You can almost close your eyes and begin to sort of feel yourself float off, thinking about endless possibilities of places where you could end up from here, your fate always being to be someplace else at some point. It's at that moment that you feel in the distance a warmth, the first thing you've really felt from this area, something warm. And you find yourself almost unconsciously sort of drifting towards it because it doesn't just feel warm, it feels good, as though this is what goodness would feel like if it was placed in a heater and blown in your face. It feels right. As you begin to feel yourself sort of drift off in that direction, you can see in the distance the object for the first time that you've never seen before in this endless void of space that's encompassed your world. It almost looks as though it's an orb of some sort, a silver orb. And as you get closer and closer to it, almost inevitably drawn to it, those waves of heat begin to washing over you, each wave impacting with your body, almost making you feel whole again, as though whenever a wave impacts, you feel for a moment, and you feel this almost light begin to emanate and see it, this silver light and this silver flame echo out towards you in every direction. And as it does so, you feel yourself being moved forward and catapulted out into this vast void that's beginning to fill in with random shapes that almost materialize in different areas of the world around you. Dragons appear here flying overhead, a mountain that direction, a valley beneath you, a lake above you, and all the while this pulse, which you now recognizing isn't a pulse so much as it is just a heartbeat. Dun dun, dun dun, every time. And you feel that fire and that flame invigorate you. As you feel yourself flying, you feel and begin to recognize things about your nature. You begin to smell again, this sort of almost overwhelming odor of something transcendent. And as you get closer and closer, you don't even know where you're going. You're seeing the scenery begin to sort of expand, almost as though it's warping around you in every direction. You feel your body begin to feel air against your skin for the first time. Something new, something different. And as this warmth begins to wash over you, once again, you feel your hand clench on itself. Your muscles begin to move. For the first time, you didn't realize how long it's been since you felt yourself. Something different about being in a void and being here. And as you see yourself beginning to sort of fly forward, you begin to see in the distance a very large, bright sun. It's over the top of a mountain peak. And at that very, very bottom of that mountain is a valley where you're seeing a very forested green area. You fly over it faster than you've ever thought possible and smell the ground, smell the actual green begin to sort of flow up towards you. And you see a bright, beautiful sky all around you as you sort of peak upwards in your flight path, sort of stop there for a moment and kind of twist, and then immediately feel yourself begin to fall. And you feel yourself fall and kind of float. And you land. You feel the grass, the wet grass, crinkle underneath your feet and your toes. You smell the fresh smell of moss and water. You can see in the distance there's a small pond. And you hear the bubbling of a stream. And this strange young elvish girl with blonde hair, wearing a very, very silver robe, is sitting in front of the water. And she looks over at you. Hi.
Hello.
Well, I know who you are, kind of, but what's your name?
Killian. Killian Wakewalker.
She kind of rises and you realize that she stands at almost 6'5" and kind of just comes over to you very slender. And she takes her hand and sort of holds it out to you. My name is Tyra.
Tyra,
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Where are we?
Some refer to this as the place between places. Others refer to it as the astral plane. Some refer to it as the ethereal plane. Really, it's just where people stop off before they go to where they want to go. All sorts of people, beings, creatures. The astral plane in particular holds a lot of dreams. I've always liked this one.
So this is a dream.
Someone's dream.
It's better than the dreams I've been in before. That's idyllic almost.
You watch as you say that, you watch as a bluebird kind of comes down and sort of just sits on your shoulder for a moment. Kind of looks over at you and then flutters off.
Definitely idyllic.
I want to say that I've been waiting for a long time, but I feel like you've been waiting longer. She walks over towards the water and stream and she watches, she sits down next to it and kind of just motions for you to sit next to her.
Sit down.
You realize whenever you sit down that you're wearing the same sort of silverish robes that she's wearing. You watch as she sort of just takes her hand and plays with the water as you feel and actually hear the babbling of the brook behind you. I know there's probably so many questions you have. I am Tyra, as I said. I am the voice of the Silver Flame. You probably don't know who that is or what that is, I imagine.
No, I don't.
We are people that believe in goodness. The world that you're destined for, the one foretold that you would arrive in by the prophecies of its own world, is a place called Eberron, specifically a continent called Gover. And it needs your help.
What has happened there?
It is a long story. I will give you somewhat of an abridged version. And you watch as she sort of takes her hand and plays with the water for a moment and spins off, and you watch as beings and sort of people begin to sort of form in the water. It all starts with a man. You watch as she sort of spins the water and a man forms. Very smart man. The one who prided himself in intelligence, but sought out so much intelligence that he himself became an abomination. You watch as she snaps her fingers, tentacles begin to grow out of this man's face. Unformed and unhinged, this aberrant wizard put into effect a plan, and you watch as she sort of splashes the water to the side. He began to experiment, using draconic marks, aberrant marks of a fiendish nature, to build himself an army. Before he was able to do that and actually complete that, he was able to determine one of his test subjects. You watch, he sort of pings the water and you see sort of a large man grow up on it. A fiendish fighter. Powerful in his own right, but with the aberrant dragon mark, stronger than ever. The two of them together became the great deceivers, you see, because nobody thought that they existed or that they were real. You watch as she swirls her hand around. A war broke out, and you see as battle and conflict is taking place. During this time, as such with all great times, when evil arises, they needed... Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. They needed to understand and destroy. But during these times when there is such great evil, of course, great people emerged. And you watch as she shows 7 individuals that kind of prop up out of water. These heroes, aided by their friends, and you watch as 4 more people appear, went to battle with these great deceivers. In the end, they won. And they defeated the fiendish fighter. They banished the aberrant wizard. And for a while, things were normal. But you see, they too were deceived. The great deceivers themselves were incorrect. The aberrant bombs that were created to destroy cities, and you watch as she shows a massive explosion taking place, created rifts that led directly to the fiendish demonic world beneath us. You see the schematics, the plans, the designs for this was always in an outside source. And she sort of spins, all you see is a hellfire with the shadow in front of it. Though I do not know who, I can tell you that there is much at work. That is the short version. Since then, there's been an explosion of modern technology, which maybe you've come across in your recent travels. They do not understand the world that they have at their calling and beckon. But what I can tell you is that now more than ever, and the water kind of calms down, there is an opportunity, a chance to stop whatever this threat is. Something from below has begun to stir again. Something old. There is an item, one that has recently emerged from these pits, these mists, traveling within one of its own kind, this fiendish creature. That item itself is important. I cannot determine why. There is a village called Anchor City in Karnoth. This village in and of itself is a very small town. Last I checked, I haven't looked in on it for a few years. But there you'll find an apostle of the Church of the Silver Flame. His name is Garrix. Some would call him Garrix the Wise. I would call him Garrix the Adequate. But he is a good contact. I need you to get with Garrix, and I need you to find this item. Last I saw, it was headed towards a place called the Mountain Spires of Karnoth. A number of towns exist there, so it's possible that there would be a number of individual places it could be. This item holds a key in some way. The world does not understand the true nature of the vortex, of the rifts that were created by this madman and his bombs. It will only grow worse, and the fiendish abilities will only grow more powerful. How long and how many worlds have you come from?
My own. And this would only be the second. Yes, it would only be the second. Well, unless you count the place I was before I came here. So not many worlds.
Well, I should warn you that this world is somewhat different than other places. In the absence of power, in the absence of someone to maintain that power, like the great evil had done, the great deceivers had done, others have taken their place that renounce the arcana altogether and believe only in modern technology. Some places would even hunt you for the magic that you possess.
This sounds not unlike my home world.
Ah.
There, the religious organization there hunted everyone that was different, magical, psychic.
I know that where you came from, you have experienced a lot and broaden your skills and horizons beyond what most people could see. You are coming to a new place. I do not know how it will affect your physical powers as well as your own arcana. But if you're willing, I would be more than happy to help provide power to you while I can. The gods of your own worlds probably don't exist here.
From what I've been told, my world and the powers that I have there or had there um, are very far away. They're hard to find by anyone I've spoke to that has planar magic. Uh, the last place I was with, um, the last plane, it was I lost everything I had and rebuilt or relearned. I want
don't
to help. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why I can't find my home, but there are so many people hurting and in need of help on so many worlds. There has to be a reason, right? I mean, if they're not, but at least that is my hope.
then I will provide you with help. I'll provide you with 3 things. You watch, she sort of opens her hand, and you see sort of a ball of silver flame form. And she sort of just moves it towards you, and you watch as it begins to float through the air towards you, and immediately it impacts with your chest. And you feel it sort of invigorate your arcana and your magical power. This light that I have given you is not everlasting. I have a feeling that you'll lose your abilities again, but this may let them stay a while longer. I don't know how long. Also, you watch as she pulls out an amulet. You can see on the front there appears to be a silver circle, and then on that circle is almost looks like an arrowhead that has a luminescence effect, meaning that it almost glows blue, and it has inside of it a silver flame that's kind of running through it whenever you turn it around. She hands it to you. This will also assist you. And I don't think you should go down there in clothes like that, so maybe we'll just provide you with whatever you need to get you started.
I'd be grateful.
If you happen to come across Leah, little Leah, she is the speaker for the Church of the Silver Flame. Should you come across her, she will recognize that amulet, and she will help you.
Leah.
I believe her full name is Leandra. She has been the speaker for the voice for the last 10 years. Granted, there have been speakers over the last 500 years, but that amulet was in possession of the first speaker that ever did exist. She will recognize it.
It seems very important.
It is.
How can you trust me with it? Someone not even of this world.
We often find in people not within our circle, not within our own scope of personalities, true nature of what it means to want to help. I don't believe you to be of an evil nature. And I believe that the world needs you. I don't quite see how. I don't know when. But you will have an effect that I will gladly get behind. The fact that you are willing to come to a land that you are unfamiliar with in the first place and help a problem that you did not create or cause is reason enough.
There are always people needed to reduce the suffering of those that don't deserve it. And if you have the power and can bear that burden of their suffering, why wouldn't you?
The Church of the Silver Flame will, if you do meet them, which you probably will tell you of goodness and law. What it really comes down to is what you just stated. Those with power should seek to use it to help those without. It's been nice talking to you, but I fear that our time is over.
Thank you. I will do what I can.
If you pray, I will be there. Watch, she kind of takes her hand and kind of pats you on the shoulder, and as soon as she does that, it almost feels as the world beneath you drops away, as though she pushed you into the ground, but you can tell she didn't. She just kind of patted you. You just kind of fell, and she's kind of looking down, almost into a tunnel, looking down at you. And immediately you're caught by this brisk wind as you feel yourself sort of planted, but fully dressed in your equipment with all of your items. And you find yourself kind of just looking around. The wind is so cold. In the distance down the path, you can see a very, very large, not very large, but a medium-sized village. You can see the lights from it in different areas and the stars above you. And that's where we're going to end it for tonight.